Yo, what's good YouTube? ZAMCRO here, aka Scoot, back with the Ninamori Nation Draft League Season 3. We have our week number 9 match against Curtis, coach of the Wisbech town Weezings, and he has a scary squad as you can see on screen. He's got the Snorlax, the Landorus, Therian, Kieran Black, Victini, Mega Manetric, Whimsicott, Cobalion, Dusclops, Blastoise, Masquerain, Tortonator, and the Arbok. So, yeah, very scary squad. Some nice Volt turn into things like Victini, Landorus, and Kieran Black. Very, very powerful. Victini and Mega Manetric make a very nice Volt turn core in their self. And then adding on things like Landorus and Whimsicott and Cobalion really makes the team tough to deal with, especially bringing in things like Snorlax, Kieran Black off the Volt switches, and being able to pressure my team quite a bit. His Z move users are Landorus, Therian, Whimsicott, and Tortonator. Probably Z Landorus in the matchup. I think it could really do work. I think a Gravity Landorus is, the best case scenario for him. I have Skarmory and Rotom Wash, otherwise that could infinitely wall a Landorus Therian. So I think a Gravity set's pretty ideal for Curtis to bring. I'm not sure if he will or not, but it's pretty ideal in my opinion. I think Mega Manetric and Victini, the two of them could come, and Landorus Therian, Kieran Black, all four of those ones, and then potentially something like Snorlax and Cobalion, or just something like Snorlax and Whimsicott. Whimsicott's really nice because I have things like Zeraora, Rotom Wash, Breloom, Alolan Persian, Druddigon. So yeah, Whimsicott could be a really nice bring. Whimsicott, actually his top 6 mons, minus something like maybe Snorlax and put in Cobalion, or the top 6 are probably the most likely to come, 100% in my opinion. And we have Mew, Mega Pinsir, Zeraora, Rotom Wash, Floette, Eternal, Skarmory, Druddigon, Breloom, Alolan Persian, and Drifloon, where our Z move users are Mew, Alolan Persian, and Drifloon. And for this matchup, we're bringing our Mew, Mega Pinsir, Zeraora, Rotom Wash, Floette, Eternal, and the Alolan Persian. So with Rotom Wash and Alolan Persian, it really opens up holes to be more, I guess, reckless versus something like a Victini. Victini is a huge threat, but versus my squad, it's not as threatening. I do have things like Druddigon, which forces it to run ice coverage or lock itself into a psychic type move. My opponent maybe wants to, if he's like a choice lock variant, a choice scarf variant to outpace things like Mega Pinsir, Alolan Persian, and the Zeraora, then he can never lock himself into something that can effectively beat my entire squad, because I have things that resist fire, things that are immune or resist psychic, things that resist or are immune to fusion bolt, things like that. I have mons that force damage upon contact if he wants to go for like a U-turn and things like that. Also, Kieran Black is a huge threat as well. I can semi-check it with the combination of mons, but I don't have like a designated switch into it. It's a huge threat. Modest Life Orb Ice Beam really rips my squad, especially having Terravolt and Earth Power to bot my Rotom, which would be my only resistance to the Ice Beam. That being said, Kieran Black's a huge threat. So if my opponent could use things like Kieran Black, Victini, and Mega Manetric and Landorus to kind of open up holes for each other, and then potentially in the late game could have like a Manetric sweep or something like that if he meets the right criteria. So all of that being said, we've brought a team to combat that. First of all, looking at his squad, he has no psychic resistance. None. Not a resistance, not an immunity, none. So this is where I wanted to go a little bit of an offensive setup variant with my Mew. I've decided to rock Mono Psychic with Roost, and I have a very complex EV spread with 248 HP EVs. Allows us to be very bulky on both sides of the spectrum. And then once I add in 36 defense EVs, I can take a supersonic sky strike from Lander's Therian after stealth rocks, which is pretty crazy to think about with that little of investment. With a modest nature and 96 special attack EVs, I'm 2-hit KOing everything on his squad after a nasty plot, and stealth rocks being up, which is really nice. Oh, well, I guess his resistance is Victini, but like I said, my team pressures Victini a lot, weakens it a lot, and he doesn't do much back to me either, thanks to my HP and defense investment. 112 special defense EVs allows us to not be 2-hit KO'd by modest Thunderbolt from Mega Manetric, which is also insane to think about. So I can live a supersonic sky strike after rocks. I'm not 2-hit KO'd by Mega Manetric after stealth rocks. And Victini can't knock me out with a V-Create after stealth rocks. Kieran Black can't knock me out with the Ice Beam after stealth rocks. Snorlax can't knock me out with a Banded Return after stealth rocks. It's just insane calcs for Mew here. With just a little bit of speed investment, I've got barely any investment, honestly. After a rock polish, I will outpace up to Mega Manetric and up to, I believe, let me double check on this before I say this. Don't want to be an idiot. So I believe we set at 240 speed. Which sets us at 480 max speed. Well, after one rock polish, that is. Alright, anyways, after a rock polish, we can outpace Manetric all the way up to, I believe, any of his mons, Choice Scarf, that are speed creeping, things like Zero Aura on my squad. So after a rock polish, we will outpace everything on his squad, and then with a nasty plot, we 2-hit KO everything on his squad, and we're rocking the Munium Z. So we have the Genesis Supernova, and after we get the Psychic Terrain up, he has no way to use like any kind of priority. Not that his team has, you know, insane priority. Like I can't look at anything off the top of my head right here and see anything. Maybe Quick Attack Victini. I'm not sure. Fake Out Mega Blastoise. Anyways, priorities eliminated and my sidekicks are boosted insanely. So at +2 in the Psychic Terrain, my sidekicks are wiping things away. I won't necessarily pop my Z move unless I have to, though. I could even use it as a breaker for Victini after Stealth Rocks. +2 Genesis Supernova with my special attack investment knocks out I believe a max HP Victini. Now if he's max special defense as well, then that's a different story. But yeah. So Mew looks amazing in this matchup. Offensively, it could also be a decent defensive one as well, but I felt like just bringing an offensive variant this week since my opponent had no psychic resist, and he didn't have really like a fighting type that I needed Mew to be defensive for, as Cobalion's not. I mean, it does have offensive capabilities, but it's not that threatening versus my squad. Next up, we have Zero Aura, which is going to be actually, excuse me. One second here. Okay, so I had the wrong team pulled up on the screen. I'm talking about the right team, but I had the wrong team pulled up. As you can see, the team has shifted and there's no Mega Pinsir, and instead there's Dredagon. I didn't necessarily dislike Mega Pinsir in the match. I think it's really nice, but I felt like Mega Manetric, Scarf Kyurem, Double Intimidate, things like Cobalion having Stone Edge and outpacing, Hidden Power Rock on a potential Whimsicott and it outpacing as well, Choice Scarf Victini, all kinds of different reasons to not bring Pinsir. So I'm actually bringing Mew, Zero Aura, Rotom Wash, Floette Eternal, and the Alolan Persian. Mew is, like I mentioned, the Mew Z with Mono Psychic with Nasty Plot and Rock Polish, and then Roost. Next up, we've got a Life Orb Zero Aura with Volt Switch and Hidden Power Ice to kind of bluff my set a little bit. First of all, I haven't ran Volt Switch on this all season, and I'm rocking a Lonely Nature with enough speed to outpace up to Mega Manetric if it was to be speed creeping my Alolan Persian. So I'm speed creeping Alolan Persian by 2 points and potentially Mega Manetric by 1 point if he is speed creeping my Alolan Persian. That being said, I was able to run an attack boosting nature, max attack with Plasma Fist, and close combat. Plasma Fist hits Snorlax, Victini, Whimsicott. Obviously not super effective damage. It doesn't hit, it hits Kyurem as well. He has only one resistance, or excuse me, one immunity, being Landorus Therian. So I felt like spamming Plasma Fist was pretty nice. If I can get rid of that with Hidden Power Ice upon switch in or something like that, that would be cool. And then close combat is there. It hits the Kyurem Black harder than even Hidden Power Ice does. It hits Snorlax for super effective damage as well, and it's able to hit the Mega Manetric for neutral damage, and has really high base power with it at base 120. So before things are actually in range, I'll just Volt Switch around. I do outpace his entire team, bar like a max speed Mega Manetric. Anyways, that being said, the idea is to just Volt around, use my Life Orb. I do have Wish support on Floette Eternal, so I can pass Wishes off and get my Life Orb recoil damage back if it comes down to it. So, say I get down to like 30% because of my Life Orb hits and things like that, I can throw off a Wish later, catch it, switching into Mega Manetric, or potentially, predicting a status type move from something like Dusclops or Webs coming up from Masquerain if he decides to bring that, and different things. Hidden Power Ice hits the Landorus Therian and the Whimsicott. Obviously, it won't one-shot a Whimsicott, but it has potential versus the Landorus if I can, get the right plays right and things like that. I only needed 40 special attack EVs to knock out after Stealth Rocks if he's no bulk on things like Landorus. So, next up we have Rotom Wash, and more of our defensive mons. Basically, our entire defense lies in these 4 Pokemon: Rotom Wash, Floette Eternal, Alolan Persian, and Druddigon. Druddigon being our Stealth Rock user, and then I have Toxic on the Rotom Wash, and then I have Wish Protect, Aromatherapy, Moonblast on Floette Eternal. So it's really nice to use these mons in conjunction with each other and wear down my opponents with Toxic, Stealth Rock, and Rough Skin damage, as well as having Taunt on Alolan Persian, and can Parting Shot out, get rid of items. I have the Foul Play there for the Kyurem Black and the Landorus Therian, and even the Victini if it's physically offensive, so that's really nice for me. Knockoff, getting rid of items is really nice, especially if he's like a recycle variant of Snorlax, or just getting rid of items in general, versus potentially like Choice Scarf Kyurem or Choice Scarf Victini. Getting rid of their scarfs is really nice. Puts my win conditions in way better positions. So Rotom Wash is max HP, max defense. It's meant to switch in on V-Creates from Victini and pivot from there. It also takes on a physically offensive Landorus almost impeccably. And then I have the Volt Switch to just Volt on out versus most of his squad. And then I've got the Hydro Pump, so I have no way to hit the Whimsicott, but the idea is to catch that upon switch in with the Toxic, and then switch out accordingly. Switch out accordingly at that point. And this is our designated defogger as well, because he does have potential for Webs, and Webs are scary. Webs force me to bring defog. On Floette Eternal, like I mentioned, we got a Moonblast, Wish Protect, Aromatherapy variant. We are a Bold Nature with max HP and 192 defense EVs, which is nearly max. Allows us to switch into Kyurem Black pretty comfortably. We're not 2-hit KO'd by Fusion Bolt. Basically, the idea was that with our special defense investment, we're never 2-hit KO'd by a modest Life Orb. Kyurem Black's Life Orb, Ice Beam, Life Orb Ice Beam, and then I just dump the rest into defense to try to take on Kyurem's physical attacks better. And it just so happens that we're out of range of a 2-hit KO from Fusion Bolt. However, if he packs the Iron Head, that will 2-hit KO us. And if he's like Life Orb or Choice Band with an attack boosting nature and attack investment, then it will just drop us. That's how powerful Kyurem Black is. Moonblast is pretty much unresisted versus his squad though, outside of Victini and Arbok, which is really nice. I don't necessarily see Arbok coming, but it could come, and then that would make Victini the only resistance to Moonblast, which is fantastic. So if I can get that out of the way, then I'll be in a really, really good position. So like I mentioned, Rotom Wash is my designated Victini switch in, but I also have Alolan Persian and Druddigon, which can semi-check it, and depending on what kind of set it is, it might be better for my Druddigon to do it, because my Druddigon is a specially defensive Druddigon. Max HP, max Spadef, takes on the Mega Manectric pretty well, can actually survive a Moonblast from a Life Orb Whimsicott as well, which is pretty cool. So we've got Stealth Rock's Glare, Dragon Tail, and Protect. Protect is to scout for things like Encore and just any kind of status that Whimsicott might want to go for. Also, it lets me, if he is a Choice Scarf Kyurem or Victini or even Landers, and he locks himself into a move and I know that he's choice locked, then I can scout what move he wants to go for, then switch accordingly thanks to Protect. Same for Floette Eternal. And Druddigon, or excuse me, Alolan Persian is max HP, max speed with an Impish nature. Pretty much similar to what we ran, I think, versus... Who was it again? Oh, versus Dan. Pretty much the same set we brought versus Dan in week 7, I believe, or week 6, I think it was. With a little bit different moveset with Taunt, Parting Shot, Knockoff, and Foul Play. Knockoff, like I mentioned, gets rid of items pretty well, and then Foul Play is really nice versus the Kyurem and the Landers. It can never, get a sub up and keep it up. Anyways, that's going to be the prep, and we're going to go ahead and hop into the battle now and see how the game goes. Alright. So here we are with the replay, and Curtis decides to bring Snorlax, Mega Manectric, Landers Therian, Masquerain, Dusclops, and the Whimsicott. So no Kyurem Black and no Victini. That was a huge relief to see. But he does have the webs, and he has a pretty scary squad behind the webs too, with the Landers, the Mega Manectric, Snorlax even, and the Whimsicott. Dusclops is like an X-Factor Pokemon. It's either going to be very annoying, or it's going to just be wiped off the grid very quickly. So his only Stealth Rocker in this match is Landers, but he has the Masquerain, which could potentially be his lead with webs. So I'm going to lead off with my Alolan Persian. I can taunt that, prevent him from getting webs up, and it would be worth it if he went for Bug Buzz to just taunt him. And like if he went for webs and I taunted him and then Parting Shot out on his Bug Buzz, that would be fine. If he went for Bug Buzz versus my Alolan Persian, I would survive it, unless he was like Life Orb, modest max special attack or something like that. I also live a Moonblast here, so it's kind of tempting to stay in, but it's in my best case scenario, or best case interest, to switch out here into the Floette. It is, especially bulky naturally, and has a little bit of special defense investment. So I'll just fire off a Moonblast here as he brings in the Snorlax, and he takes no damage. But over time, the combination of Moonblast damage plus Stealth or Rough Skin damage from my Druddigon will add up. And see, my Druddigon is now out of range of another Frustration or Return, I believe he went for. Anyways, he gets his webs up here, and I'm going to glare him. So that opens up holes for me. Really nice holes, actually. And I'm able to defog here as he actually baton passes his agility out to the Dusclops. So that was really weird. I don't think Dusclops can make use of this speed. So I'm just going to throw off a Toxic here, and I actually outpace him. And here my opponent misses a Toxic. And you'll see over in the chat, I told my opponent that I was going to click Toxic again so he could land. So you could land yours, he could land his. And he said no, he declined my offer there. But what I was going to do is allow him to land his Toxic and then switch out to my Floette Eternal anyway, and potentially get a Toxic landed on it as well, and then just Aromatherapy, as I'm going to do right here. Just no reason to do anything else, just click Aromatherapy here. And now I can click go into Druddigon again, but he might predict that, so I'm going to go for my Alolan Persian this turn, as he does just go for the return once again, and he doesn't do half. My leftover gets me back to almost 70%. And I'm just going to click Parting Shot as he actually brings in his Whimsicott here, and now I'm going to be able to throw off another Moonblast. I could also click Wish too and pass it into my Druddigon, And that's going to be the best case scenario for me, best case interest, as I'll be able to eat up a return and then get the wish back. And with leftovers, again, I'm out of range of the next return, which allows me to whittle him down more with rough skin. Here I'll double out into Zeraora, predicting him to switch out into his Masquerain, and he does just that, and I go for the Hidden Power Ice, predicting his Landers. It also caught his Manectric upon switching, especially if it was Volt Absorb or Lightning Rod, I believe. Anyways, he goes for the Hidden Power Ice here, or Hidden Power, I'm not sure what it is, some kind of Hidden Power, and I go out into Floette and then double into Zeraora on the Volt Switch there and get my nice Volt Absorb back, and I go for the Hidden Power Ice again, expecting Landers, but it doesn't come in, and now I'm just going to Volt Switch out, and I get a critical hit here, but thankfully it's not going to matter too much, as my opponent just goes for the Pain Split here. Gets back up to 50%, and now I have Floette in again. I can click Wish here, and then I can click Protect, or I could attack here. What I'm actually going to do is just switch out to Dredagon once again and get that Wish back. And now I'm actually out of range of Whimsicott, so I'm going to attempt to get my rocks back up, but my opponent makes a really good play there and clicks Taunt. And now I'll switch back out into Floette Eternal. I take a little bit of damage here, and he gets me again with the Wish, but this time I actually click Moonblast instead of trying to wish up or anything like that. However, my opponent switches out into Snorlax on the following wish, takes a little bit of chip. He's now below half. Now I just have to watch out for rest. If he's rest, it could be very, very annoying. So I get my Dredagon in here, and I'm going to click Protect as my opponent goes for the Moonblast. And now seeing the Moonblast, I'm going to try once again to get my rocks up, I believe, as my opponent taunts me, and he gets me again. So really good plays by Curtis here, and we're at turn 30. At 6-6, with 2 mons at half and the rest are basically at full. So that's pretty crazy. I throw off another Moonblast. He switches out into Snorlax once again. I'm going to click Protect here just for a little, another 6% or so from leftovers recovery. And then I'm going to switch out to the Dredagon, as he will do roughly half to me and take a little bit of recoil thanks to my rough skin, and I can get rocks up. He would need a max roll to knock me out at this range, I believe, based on the rolls so far. And I'm able to get my rocks up, as my opponent's going to be able to get his webs up once again. However, I will be able to Volt Switch or Plasma Fist again. Could also click Hidden Power Ice, but I felt like I've shown it every time so far, so he wasn't going to go on the Landers. And I just Volt Switch out into my Rotom Wash here, and I'm going to click Defog. I don't mind if my opponent clicks Pain Split. I just want them webs gone. I will always get those webs gone, because with webs up, Zeraora and Mew have a whole lot harder time. I don't mind my defense being slower, but my offense needs to be fast. Hence the rock polish on there and everything. Anyways, I finally get some Moonblast damage off versus the Masquerain as he hard switches it in here. And with the para, I guess he just sacked it off, deciding it was useless, and I was able to hit KO that thing. He brings in a Snorlax, it doubles into his Landorus on my Alolan Persian though. So what I'm going to do here is click Taunt, prevent it from setting up or anything like that, since my attack was lowered thanks to his Intimidate. But he switches out to his Whimsicott once again, and I'm going to stay in here and click Parting Shot as my opponent goes for the Moonblast. And Alolan Persian, big Alolan Persian there with the max HP living on 1%. So I'll bring in Mew here, and what I'm going to do is click Rock Polish so that I'm faster than everything on his squad. And he brings in Dusclops, and it's revealed Toxic so far, so I'm pretty sure he's going to go for Toxic here instead of any kind of damaging attack. And I'm able to get a Nasty Plot up as well. And the way Toxic works is it builds up a little bit of extra damage each round. And I'm out of range here to the point to where I can click Psychic versus everything and knock them out. And Landorus is at full, so I'm going to save my Z move for the Landorus, as he's bringing in each mon one by one, and maybe Landorus was his last line of defense, hoping I die to the poison damage this round. But Big Mew coming in clutch here, picking up all 5 knockouts. I'm going to show off the Z move here with the Genesis Supernova, set up that Psychic Terrain, and finish the game just like that. That's going to be a really, really nice game there. I believe we was at turn 40 before there was a knockout, and then in the last 10 turns, I was able to secure the 6-0. 6-0 doesn't accurately describe this game though. This was a long drawn out battle. Dredagon was almost killed twice. Floette Eternal was at below 50% at one point. Alolan Persian is below 1% right now, and Mew is below 10% right now. and I believe Rotom Wash was getting weakened as well. So that was a really, really fun game, and we were able to pull it back, or not really pull it back. It was we was able to kind of pull away once we got the parting shot. Once we survived the Moonblast and landed the parting shot, brought in our Mew. It was pretty much game from there, and that's just awesome. Offensive Mew coming through there. I know I've used Taunt defensive Mew most of the season, outside of versus Kirby, where I also brought a setup Mon with Z move. Just shows you how powerful the Munium Z is. It's actually going to win me a battle here. Anyways, that's going to be it. Let me know what you guys thought about the prep and the plays on both sides of the field. Leave a like, comment, and subscribe, all the good stuff, and I'll see you guys next time. Thank you for watching.